So we're at something really cool, really neat, really unique. We're where David fought Goliath here in Israel. And yes, it's a real place, not just a myth. So we're here to explore something really cool. Just about everybody's heard the story of David and Goliath. And Goliath and the Philistines camped on one hill, and David and the Israelites on another hill. David's coming up to feed his brothers, and Goliath shouts out these challenges for somebody to face me. And David famously goes down to the creek bed, picks up 5 smooth stones, and comes out and kills Goliath with a sling stone. Oftentimes people think it's a myth, but you know what? It's a real place. And we're here to explore that and check it out. Can't wait to show this to you. So if you want to get here, it is a drive. Up dirt roads, rough. This isn't an easy thoroughfare to get to, so be aware when you come. It's a little interesting.
Baby, are you sure?
So it's a little bit of a walk up the hill here. They've apparently recently designated this as a national park. And there's some 3,000-year-old ruins here that actually had the oldest Hebrew inscription that they've been able to find. But the ruins themselves also are a giveaway that this is where it happened. So can't wait to show that to you. So you come hiking up that lovely hill. You can hear I'm a little out of breath because it's a little bit of a good hike. And then we swing around, and then you come across the walls and the ruins. This is one of the 2 gates into this. Now, most cities only had 1 gate. This one had 2, and that's actually what its name means in the Bible, is 2 gates, which is one of the ways we know that this is where it happened. This is the Israelite city. David actually fortified this again later. But as we swing around, that is the valley where it happened. You can see this other hill over there. That's where the Philistines were camped. Where they were out shouting challenges. There is a creek bed that runs down the middle of that. And that's where Goliath was coming out shouting challenges to the Israelites. Come down, send your best champion to meet me. Whoever wins, the other side will surrender to them. And they will serve them. Right down there is where that happened. We're going to walk around the ruins a little bit, and then we're going to go back down there. We're going to go down to the creek where David got his stones. And if we get a chance, we're going to see if we can't do a little sound test and let you see how well they can actually hear and how you can stand down there and yell a challenge and they will hear it up here. So we've just walked in. Okay, so this is the first gate. And you can actually see with the stones here, the hole for the hinge to hold that door. So this is where they would have walked in, kind of a guard post, and then up into the actual ruins of this city that is 3,000 years old. Wow. They're building a whole new city here. This is a suburb, apparently, of Bet Shemesh, Orthodox community. I don't know, I think they ought to call it Crane, based on all the cranes. But there's just, they're building a whole entire city all at once. And it actually goes on beyond the trees here. Just crazy amounts of construction. Here's another look at this city, and you can see just how far back it goes. Now this is on the far side of the valley. Now I got him. Deer.
So I'm trying to think with the old walls like those, how they
So this is a look at the walls that surround this hotel. They go all the way around.
What's that? Porcupines? Yes, it is. Let him pick it.
And we have just found a porcupine needle.
Trying to give him his money.
But you can kind of see outer defensive wall and then inner wall. And those walls are the originals. So this path they've developed up here goes right alongside the walls and all around the tell. Tell basically is the name for a hill that's basically ruins. And we're going to go all the way around and come up to where the second gate was. So you see why it got its name. Because the name actually means gate 2, if you were to translate it into English. 2 gates. And extremely unusual for cities at that time, because it was harder to defend. But you get to see this whole area and ancient walls, and then this is actually part of the old city there. And then as we finish coming all the way around, now you get a look at more of the ruins. And here you can actually see the rooms, the outlines of the buildings. So here's a good look at the valley. That hill right there that spans all that way, that's where the Philistines were camped. All along that hill. Goliath would have come down from that hill and down about where the road is. You can kind of see where the valley meets. And he would have probably been about down there, shouting challenges to the Israelites who were camped right here. And as he's shouting challenges, David actually comes from Bethlehem. Bethlehem is approximately 5 miles that way. And he had been sent by his father with cheese and bread for his brothers. 5 miles, about an hour and a half long walk. And he comes up here and he sees the Philistines camped. And here's Goliath taunting. And he responds. Now you can see kind of that tree line way down at the bottom edge there. That's actually the creek. And we're going to go down there in a bit and fish up some rocks. Some smooth stones, because he picked 5 smooth stones to go fight him with. And here you can see the side of the battlefield. And when David slays Goliath, takes his head, the Israelites come pouring down here and after the Philistines. Now, why did they do it this way? Why did they shout a challenge and go one-on-one instead of just the armies fighting? Well, that creek, it's actually a river. They were here in the spring. It was probably full of water. It was probably raging pretty good. And for the Philistines to come attack, they would have had to go through the river, which puts them at a distinct advantage. Same thing with the Israelites. If they really wanted to attack, they had to go through the river. Well, fighting through a river is, at that time, not a good idea. So let's settle it one-on-one instead and save all the casualties. Well, we all know that when Goliath fell, the Philistines, instead of surrendering, fled instead, and the Israelites then went and chased after them. So how do we know that this was actually the Hebrew village and the site too? Well, in addition to the 2 gates, they actually found a pottery shard here with ancient Hebrew writing, the oldest Hebrew writing they found, 3,000 years old. And they were able to confirm that this was a Hebrew village dating to the time of David. And in fact, here is that second gate. You can see our friend Jack standing in the middle of it. That's the second gate. The first one is over that direction. So 2 gates, matches the same description. The pottery shard with the ancient Hebrew writing. The 2 hills facing each other with the creek in the middle. This is where they matched up. This is where David slew Goliath. I don't know. I look at this and I almost want to start shouting out, "We defy you, Goliath, in the name of the Lord." I know it's not exactly how Joseph's over here complaining. I'm not quoting it right. But you can get a little bit of an idea of the sound being able to carry. You can see that truck and you can hear it all the way up here. And it just, the echoing of the valley allows you to hear all those noises even though they're way over there. And it gives you an idea of how well they would be able to hear Goliath shouting up here. So Joseph and Jack and Dawn are heading down the hill.
Yes, we can hear you too.
I can't see you real well, but I can hear you. So you can tell they're down there a good ways. See if we can get this up. But yeah, it echoes. They're down like near the bottom of the hill, and We can hear them. All right, so you can see them down there.
Yes,
I can hear you. So, yep, you can see the sound does carry as they continue on. I'll give you a little closer look at where they're at. That's where they are, heading down towards the bottom. I don't think we're going to get all the way to the bottom. That gets a little far. But you can see where they are going. So here's another look at these gates, where it would have been. And you can see there is a line of concrete there. That actually marks where the original walls were. Below it, what they found, and then above it is reconstructed. So you can see it. That way you have a better idea of what's what, and they stamp the date in there so you can see that. They've done this at a few ruins. Khorazim has this as well. But when you look at the gate, you've got a pedestal stone there. And then you've got this big, huge stone that's cut to mark the gate entrance. So that is absolutely an ancient gate into a city. Okay, so we're going to try this sound test. And you can see the big view. So let me show you where they really are. If you can look, my son and our friend are standing right up there.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
We challenge you!
Yes.
So he can hear us clearly. Burger King is better than McDonald's! Let's see what Joseph says.
Burger King.
Something about Burger King. So yeah, you can tell they're way up there. We're down at the bottom of the valley, and yes, you can hear pretty well. They definitely could have heard the challenge from Goliath from up there.
Yes.
Yes!
Awesome.
Pretty cool that you can hear each other from that distance. So here at the bottom, this is actually by the creek David would have stood at. Joseph, what do you want for lunch? Food. So profound! But you can see how easy it is to hear over long distances because of the topography. So yes, we could stand down here. Goliath could have stood down here right by the creek, which is here, and shouted up the challenges, and the Israelites up there on the hill would have heard him loud and clear. And you could hear them respond back just as well. Very cool. So now we're going to go down to the creek. So here's a look at the creek bed. You can see the cliffs, and then the creek flowed right down here at the bottom of the cliff. And you can see all these stones. David would have been looking right here for his 5 smooth stones for his sling. And you can see there's all sorts of them here. So stone, perhaps, like that.
This one's too big too, I guess.
That one actually would be pretty close.
This is a nice one.
Yeah.
Should I keep this one in, or should I grab one more?
Nope, that's good. Joseph can get one when he gets down here. But let me see your stem. So you can see that's probably pretty close. They could have gone a little bit bigger, but that would be closer to what a sling stone would be. And then there's a larger one. So give you an idea what
Very
they would have been throwing.
And so you could tell it's had a lot of water flowing over it.
Yes.
So we're gonna find some 5
Thank you.
sling stones. So here's a couple of the rocks I found, and these would be just about perfect sling stones. You can see this one's a little bit along, smooth, rounded, a little smaller on that one, but they would be big enough to do damage, Small enough, though, that you could fling them easily and they wouldn't end up with a lot of wind resistance. It could very easily have been a stone. Very similar to that David pulled out of here and used it in his sling, just like Goliath. Right here in the creek bed. Little history come to life. This is the creek bed that David would have pulled his rocks from. And it's dry right now because we're beginning of December. It's not spring. We don't have runoff and rain. Got a little bit of rain yesterday, but not enough to get it flowing. But you can tell just with the trees, that is where the creek would flow and would have come past here. Goliath would have been probably standing about where our car is. And the creek would have flowed right along in here. David would have come down that massive hill to face Goliath, picked up his stones down here at the creek, and then slew him. So there's a look at the Elat Valley where David and Goliath met. Very cool, especially when you see what so many of us think of as just a story come to life and historical. There's the evidence, there's the landscape, there's everything you need to know to see that it happened here, which is so cool. And Israel's just full of places like that, so can't wait to share more of them with you. But there's a look here at the valley, and hope you enjoyed that. It's really cool to be able to be here and to share it with you. So hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you got comments and questions below too. Thanks so much. God bless.